What is up, everybody? I got a special show tonight. If you haven't heard of him yet, I'm going to introduce you guys to the Holsum one, Holloway, coming on strong this offseason, reporting the best content on University of Miami sports. Best, probably the highest football IQ on YouTube. Man, does an outstanding job. Wholesome one, introduce yourself to anyone that perhaps doesn't know you.
Uh, Thank you. I appreciate the nice intro, man. I'm the Holsum one Holloway, so HOLSUM, the number one Holloway. And I played a lot of college ball, played a lot of high school ball. I specialize on the fronts, offense and defensive line. I like film breakdowns, and I also do lives. Tonight, I gave one up to be on with Paul on Monday. So Monday and Tuesday nights are my live sessions, and Wednesday through Friday is when I have my uploads of my film breakdowns. So get pretty excited about that. I like to be able to just talk and speak my mind and talk about our Canes, and it's really fun to do so, especially when you got people who don't know us from a can of paint that subscribe and like what we have to bring to the table. So it's a blessing, and thank you all for having me.
Yeah, Wholesome. Well, thank you for your time, man. Monday nights are typically your nights to go live, so I greatly appreciate you coming on, man. It truly does mean a lot to someone who's been with me since day one, doing YouTube videos. So I greatly appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Especially when you were on here talking about baseball. I didn't know what the heck you were talking about. I don't know about baseball, but it was good to see you talk baseball and basketball, which was something that none of us were doing. So,
all right, man. Well, let's kick it off. So, as we all know, spring practice has been canceled. How much is this going to affect us, Wholesome One? I specifically think our offense is going to be hurt by this matter. I would love to hear your thoughts on the cancellation of spring.
absolutely. I mean, not being able to have that player-coach connection going on right now through the school. Um, I follow a lot of the young men on social medias, and to see Mark Pope working out with D. Wiggins and a couple of wide receivers, that's good. But where's the QBs? Where are the running backs? Where are the O linemen? Where's the unity of this thing? Because you're learning a new offense. It's up tempo. It's quick. It's fast. It's right now. It's in your face. And we got that for like a week. We got one full padded practice, and it was all gone. So I think it's going to truly affect all of football, not just at Miami. I mean, from JUCO D3 all the way up to Division I single A, and even at the professional level, I think a lot of offenses are going to be very, very highly affected, especially if you're starting a new QB and a new OC. And that is what Miami's doing. Now, a lot of it will be natural to our players playing at a spread, which is what a lot of them did in high school. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that it was the same verbiage. It was the same formations. It was the same motions. So all those little things, and how from just the center QB conversation, like how the different QBs inflect their voice, what's their rhythm, what's their cadence. The center has to know that, because that's when you get a lot of false starts or false snaps.
Right.
When you're used to a different type of cadence from the QB. Or how they clap hands, or when they do it, or how they say hike, and how do they gesture for emotion, and when they're ready for the ball, all those little things. Then the offensive line connection, just stepping together instead of like stepping on each other's toes when they double team. Can you step hip to hip, not foot to foot, but hip to hip, and drive a one technique off the ball? That's something that you can't really practice unless you're in pads, working together as a unit, double team center guard, double team guard tackle, all of those type of things, cut blocking, all these little things. I mean, tackling has been a big issue at Miami for 4 years now. Yes. I mean, you go back and watch film, and we're one of the worst tackling teams in college football.
Yeah.
I mean, our absolutely. DBs were atrocious. The highest graded tackler was Al Blaze Jr., who didn't even start majority of the season. That's atrocious.
Yeah.
You got two senior linebackers, and their tackling grades are some of the worst in college football.
Yeah.
So all of those little things are going to be affected by not having spring ball. The NFL is 9 times out of 10 not going to have OTAs. I just hope that what's going on in the world is going to be over with and handled, so that we can actually have the games. And it makes me a lot happier that this year Miami doesn't have the gauntlet of an LSU or Florida or an Alabama to start the season. but we
Right.
got about
Absolutely.
4 cupcakes to start. Yeah, I mean, can we call anybody a cupcake when we lost to FIU and La Tech? But
Right, exactly. And I think one positive thing, at least we don't have to deal with out the gate, like you just said, week 1, we get Temple. Week 2, we play Wagner. Then we have UAB, who canceled their football program a couple years ago. So we can work our way through this offense, get the rust off the first 3 weeks until we go to East Lansing and have to play Michigan State, who may not be a good team. You know, they do have a new coach. And once again, how a new coach and you had the whole spring canceled as well. So that's a tough situation. At least our whole defensive side of the football has the same defensive scheme from last year.
right.
So that is a positive. And just want to do a quick shout out to Taz Haitian Canes. Thank you so much for the $5 donation, man. We greatly appreciate it, man. We can't do this without our supporters, no doubt about it. So greatly appreciate that, Taz Haitian Canes. Now, Holsum one.
I always say we're just guys screaming into a camera if people don't subscribe. If people don't like, comment, and subscribe. You know, you could have the best content. You could be the funniest comedian. You could be the best actor or actress. But if people don't invest in you, if people don't, and not always financially, we're happy for that, but just the investment as far as a subscription, a consistent view, a comment, a good job, or you did a great job today. Thank you for that upload. Yeah. That goes a long way for us as content creators, because we put hours upon hours into the research, or hours upon hours into making these videos. And to just have one person say, great job, one person to say, I love your channel, best content, or whatever, it means the world to us. So we do appreciate everything you guys do.
And Holsum one, man, I want to ask you a question, because I think you kind of resorted to this when you spoke of Xavier Restrepo, Mike Harley getting together, running wide receiver drills. How is Miami preparing to get their players to be ready to go in August? Strength and conditioning, just as a whole. I mean, getting this playbook down. What things can you think of on the side that perhaps are happening within the coaching staff and the players?
Man, I tell you what, the good part about that I see when I follow them on social media is they're all together. It isn't grouped as a unit. That's what kind of throws me off. You know, you got Mark Pope and D. Wiggins doing their workouts, but then you got Jeremiah Payton somewhere else doing his workouts, you know? And that's just what we see on social media. We don't know what everyone's doing. We don't know if the Eric King is calling 5 million practices at a local park. I do not know. But what I do know is what you could do is get everybody and go to beaches and run sand pits.
Yeah.
Or find a park that's kind of closed off, or all subscribe to the same gym or something like that, and all go lift together as a unit, or all go run together as a unit. And there's things that, you know, you want to be discreet with. You don't want to be running plays, actual hand signals and plays, because people video any and everything nowadays at a park. But that's something that I could think of. Or all the linemen go to 247 or 24 hour. And all lift together, go at the exact same time and lift together. The whole linebacking core goes in at this time at a Planet Fitness or wherever they can, just to try to get around what we got going on right now. I know here in Fargo, North Dakota, all the gyms are shut down. So I don't know what it is in Miami. I don't know how that's going on down in Florida. I don't know how are they allowing gyms to stay open? Are they allowing people to? Because I know in Philadelphia they don't even like you outside. So I don't know what's all going down there.
Right.
But to answer your question, it's nice to see a lot of the young men working out together. And I mean, hey, what are you? I mean, if someone tells us not to do it, we're probably going to do it anyway.
Right.
But what I would say is across college football, the issue is some teams will get away with practicing together and doing stuff that they're not supposed to, and other places won't. You know? Alabama can get together and have a practice and keep it hush-hush and no one says anything.
Right.
But if they find out that Miami coaches and Miami players were together having a practice, the NCAA is going to get a call about that. We'll probably get in trouble for it. So that's the issue right now is battling that. What I said before on Mark Rogers TV is this is going to be the player-led, you know, which teams are truly player-led? Because the coaches can't have any interaction right now. They can't even recruit. They can't call a recruit right now. You know, they're not allowed to do anything. It's like another dead period because the academic year has ceased. Who's to say? I mean, is Nick Saban not talking to recruits? He is. But if Manny tries to pull a Nick Saban, it's not going to have the same outcome. So what you could do is get on the phone and all discuss hand signals. You could get on FaceTime and everyone, what does this hand signal mean? What does that mean? What formation is this? What cadence is that? You could do stuff like that. You can quiz each other on the phone or on FaceTime about what is Rick Lashley's favorite play, or did you watch film today? Or because you could even do like what we're doing now and pull up other videos and have that on the screen and say, well, this against Houston at SMU, Coach Lashley called this. Maybe if we get in that same exact situation down by 4, he may call this play. Let's learn this play. Or that play looks like what he calls here at Miami in this formation at Miami. This looks like the exact same thing at SMU down by 14 in a comeback game. So let's learn that because he may call that play. Little things like that you can do.
Okay.
But that's just what I would think. I don't know for a fact. No one does know what the fact these players are doing. I know for a fact that they're probably all doing crazy amounts of push-ups and sit-ups, but you can only do so many of those.
Right. So. And one thing you did touch up on, and I think Miami, this is amazing that they're in this position with recruiting. They're in South Florida. They can go to high schools. I'm sure players and their coaches are doing workouts on the side. University of Miami coaches can just drive, pull up their car, and they'll be there in under 5-10 minutes. They're in a great recruiting area where Nick Saban, he's got to fly his little helicopter, land his little helicopter on the high school field, where Miami can work behind the scenes to recruit in a great and probably the best area in college football. And I just hope Miami.
I said, there's no recruiting going on, so you can't show up there as a Miami coach. I mean, you show up in Miami gear, and that gets out.
They could be going behind the scenes. I mean, you gotta.
I feel you. There's a way to do it, but we all know the outcome for Miami won't be the same as everyone else.
Absolutely.
So I'm just a little careful with saying that into the airwaves.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Holsum one. And question, man, this has been something that's been kind of bothering me. Because I've been thinking about this with Coach Enos. When we first hired him, it was like God just came to the University of Miami coaching staff. It was our savior. Why do we know this offense will be better than last year's offense? Or is it going to be a rebuilding year? Is it not an overnight project? Is it going to take a couple years to get the ball rolling with this offense?
We don't have the issue that Georgia Tech had. I mean, going from a triple option to a spread.
Right.
I was on a former show we did. I was one of the only people that thought like the two games that made me scared wasn't Florida and Tallahassee. It was Georgia Tech and North Carolina. In my eyes, I felt like they had our number for years, and that's exactly what happened. Is we lost both of those games. And on that said show, I also spoke about the fact that I thought that they were going to be a lot more natural because a spread is something that every kid does. Yeah, you might recruit to that triple option, but eventually it starts to it's like muscle memory. You start feeling back into, oh, yeah, I remember doing that. I remember how to do that. We just called it this, Oh, you got a donation.
Hey, thank you, Manny Menendez, for the $5 donation. Greatly appreciate it. Has been subscribing to my channel since day one. And he went to the University of Miami as well and a product of Miami Senior High School. So greatly appreciate it, my friend. Thank you.
Does he know your dad?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, didn't your dad go to Miami High?
He did.
The High, that's what they called it back in the day.
He did.
High, well, that's when they were like falling. they were rolling. It all goes in waves. Anyway, I think this offense is going to work out well, but we won't see the best of it till about Wake Forest. I think that's a big thing. I wouldn't, because of how much time it's going to take. And the good part about it is we have those cupcake games. We probably can get away on talent first half of those games for a while. But everyone's going to kind of be behind the 8 ball. We won't start seeing really quality college football till about week 9, week 10.
Okay,
wow. Everyone, because we're all so set back. I mean, training camp, spring ball is completely canceled. After spring ball, they usually have training camp. Well, training camp is probably going to be pushed back even more also. So you're losing training camp, you're losing spring ball, the terminology and how you say things, how you line up, all that stuff is going to have to all be player led. At this point, you would hope and pray that De'Aaron King knows this offense so that he can just teach it to everyone else.
Right.
He's familiar with it because it's similar to what he ran at Houston, but he doesn't know it. Just like, for example, Brad Kyle. Let's say Brad Kyle was going into his third season with James Coley. I mean, his freshman and sophomore year were pretty good. Then his junior year was with Mark Richt, and it was a completely different type of offense. But if it was his third or fourth year under James Coley growing together, he would know the James Coley offense, and he would just go out there and do it.
Right.
So I think it's going to be some mishaps, but at the same time, just like Coach Mark Richt used to say, at the end of the day, it's recruiting. If my guy's better than your guy, hopefully he makes a play.
Right.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, shoot, you turn around and throw a fly route to D. Wiggins, hopefully he's better than a Temple corner. Hopefully Mark Pope is better than a UAB nickel corner. Hopefully the Miami O-line can hold off the elite pass rush of the Temple Owls. Hopefully those things happen.
And I think you're going to see that the first few weeks. I think you're going to see this offense really rely on De'Aaron King and his playmaking ability to move the offense. And then slowly we'll incorporate more key players such as Mike Harley, possibly Jeremiah Payton, and Mark Pope. But I think first 4 weeks to the Michigan State game, it's going to be De'Aaron King, really leading the offense. He's going to be given a lot of run plays, a lot of plays designed with De'Aaron King to put us in the right situations to win the football game. Because I don't think this offense is going to click first 4 weeks. It's going to be, out the gate scoring 50 points. I think it's going to be real scrappy at first, and you're going to see flashes of a great offense. So I'm excited. I really am excited. The air raid coming to Coral Gables, man, it's been a long time, way overdue. But Holsum one, we can't get all caught up with, this air raid offense. We got to talk about our weaknesses. What do you think is the weakest unit offensively? And then we'll go defense after.
Oh, man. Unfortunately, I think that's just that's probably the easiest question you've asked. Our offensive line, man. You are what you continuously do. And what did they continuously do? Give up sacks, give up TFLs, and make other teams look a lot better than they were. I mean, you give up, was it 10 sacks to Duke? 7 to
it was more than
7
that.
7 to FIU or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, really? La Tech. You can't score against La Tech? Now, yes, you have to also put into the argument about they were all put in bad positions. Yes. But if you're a 4-star recruit, you got to make a play here. You go an entire 60 minutes and can't one guy break an 80-yard run? Not one guy? Really? But like Dante likes to say on my channel, that's last decade. I think that this offense is going to maximize a lot of what our athletes do well. And that's playing open space and make people miss. That's a big issue for me. If you want to talk about weakness as a unit, I would say O-line. If you want to talk weakness as an attribute or something that they don't bring to the table, offensively, breaking tackles. I did a film breakdown on Brevin Jordan, and it's angering to see him get tackled by a Central Michigan corner in open field. That shouldn't happen at Miami.
Right.
I mean, just 2-3 seasons ago, we had a guy, David Njoku, who was a 2-3-star recruit who would take a simple out 80 yards with no problem.
Yeah.
You weren't just going to tackle him in open field. He'll pull away from Division I corners. And we got the number 1 and number 2 tight end, and he can't pull away from Central Michigan linebackers and corners. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I spoke a lot about the fact that Brevin Jordan, he flashes elite play. He's just a very good player right now. He can flash eliteness every now and again. I mean, the first touchdown of the season, the post route from the tight end position, he broke a tackle from a Florida safety and scored the touchdown. That's an elite play because it was 1st and 20, and he could have easily got tackled by that safety and got the first down and been in the red zone, but he broke the tackle and scored. Those are things that I want to see more of. I don't think we see enough of that. I love JT4. I did a film breakdown on him. He didn't break enough tackles in open field. KJ Osborne, a simple slant route, and you were at this game against North Carolina, 0 coverage. And he let a corner clip him, and he could have went 80 yards to go into the fourth quarter with a touchdown. What does he do? He gets tackled. So little things like that we have to work on. You watch other teams, and they make us miss tackles. I watch other teams in college football, their wide receivers, tight ends, QBs, running backs, everybody breaking tackles. You watch Miami, they're not. So.
You go ahead. Go ahead, Holsum. I was going to just say real quick, for the longest time, I used to watch other teams' highlights, and I would watch Miami's highlights, and I would say, man, they just look a lot faster than us. They just look a lot better than ours. Like, we got to work so hard for a touchdown. It's like they just score on like just one play, they're in. It's like for us, we got to literally go like 3 third and longs just to get in field goal range. It was just miserable. A one-handed grab that would make an SD top 10. It was like that for such a long time. It still is. So hopefully that changes.
Dude, I don't even go as far as like just the minor things of football we look like we can't do. For years, we couldn't punt the dang ball. We couldn't punt. We couldn't kick. We couldn't block. We couldn't tackle. What are we doing here? It made me realize that for the longest, Miami literally was living off of talent. Because if we can't do the bare essentials, I forgot catching. We can't catch the ball either in 2018. 40 drop passes is atrocious. And like I said, I think one of the biggest things that happened is that we were so focused on making sure we catch the football and look the ball all the way in,
right? As
opposed to breaking tackles, which you're right. I can't get mad at that. That makes a lot of sense. But, and we're not here to bag on our favorite school, but I'm going to answer the questions truthfully.
Absolutely.
If we can't block or tackle, we can't catch, block, tackle, punt, and kick. Throw. I'm a N'Kosi Perry apologist. Seems like we couldn't throw at times. Jan Williams looked, I'm not even going to bring up the other guy. But either way, the first two, 5 and 15, man, hey, my God. But, what was the second half of the question?
Defensive line unit. Not defensive line unit, just defense as a whole. Which unit on the defense is the weakest on this team?
I hate to rag on it, but corner.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think we're very slim, and it's a scary position, specifically if people get injured or they don't develop, which spring is canceled. That was going to be key for the corners.
Yeah. Now, one thing I can say about these skill position guys, they can go out and do 7-on-7 and develop with no problem. For me, right. it's the line that creates an issue. I mean, you can go out and create chemistry with a QB with T-shirt, shorts, and cleats.
Right.
Just find an open area, a discrete open area, and you can go do it. I still think, now I don't know, this was like a week ago that I watched it, but they were doing like 7-on-7 in the Carroll Sofa. So I don't know if campus is still open right now or did they kick everybody off. I don't know. I don't know if the Carroll Sofa is open because I think you just got to scan an ID and get in. So I don't know if they can still all drive up and meet there at the same time, go lift together and go do 7-on-7 together. I don't know. And per NCAA rules, I don't know if it would be fair if we could. But like I said, other schools are probably still definitely doing it.
Right.
So one of my biggest issues with the whole the issue nationally right now is the chemistry of the offensive and defensive linemen, because the development of that isn't something that you can just go out and, hey, all right, we're going to do one-on-one pass pro. I'm going to snap the ball and we're going to go one-on-one with no pads on. It's different blocking a man when you can actually grab his pads than actually grabbing man boobs. Like it's not the same thing, or pulling on a t-shirt. It's not the same thing. It's different technique. It's different. I mean, heck, most DNs go shirtless anyway. So it would be hard to try to block a man if you can't grab cloth. So I know for a fact that 7-on-7 it's probably still going on. It's the O-line, D-line that I'm worried about. So the corners, I think, can develop in a 7-on-7 pretty well. It's, like I said, the fronts that have me a little nervous.
Okay, what do you think about linebacker play? I know we're pretty injured at that position. Zach McLeod technically is our leader returning because he's got the most experience. It's a very young group. But, man, I mean, Patrick Joyner, Bradley Jennings, Corey Flagg, Tyreek Austin Cave, Sam Brooks, Avery Hupp. I mean, they're all banged up. So are you worried at all, or you're fine? Because I'll be honest, like cornerback play and linebacker play, that's what I'm most worried about the most. If Zach McLeod doesn't show up his senior year, if it's the same story, it's the same Zach McLeod we've seen the past 3 to 4 years.
Okay. So campus is closed. Wellness is also closed. The Kel Sulphur is closed, and campus is completely empty. So there you go. There's the answer to the question before. So this all has to be player-led leadership type of thing going on right now. I agree with you. The second unit for me was linebackers. Because, Zach McLeod, we've heard all that stuff before. We've heard good interviews before. I mean, Shaq Quarterman and Michael Pickney were amazing interviews too, about being elite leaders and the greatest, and I'm going to be the greatest to ever come through. We've heard all that before. Zach McLeod definitely played a pretty good game in Pitt next to Shaq Quarterman. That was pretty good. Can't lie. But I'm pretty nervous about the development of Avery Huff. Sam Brooks. We're injury prone at linebacker, key position.
Yeah.
Something that Unc Pedro talks about a lot on my channel is it angers me that we make DNs linebackers instead of just put good weight on them and leave them at DN and let them rush the passer. I don't know if you guys remember Mike Smith from the illustrious Miami Northwestern. 6'2", 230. Okay, that's Olivier Vernon's size. He can come off the edge as a weak side defensive end. I watched him in person literally take over the St. Thomas Aquinas game with 7 sacks in one game at the old Sun Life Stadium when it was no dome over it and sun was beaming on us and we were dying out there, cooking like fried fish. But then he comes to Miami and they try to make him a middle linebacker and he never really turns into anything. Do the same thing. Now, Sam Brooks, one of the best defensive ends in the state of Florida. Patrick Joyner. I mean, he was a 3-4 strong side outside linebacker in high school. We forced him to become a middle linebacker instead of just leaving him as strong side DN.
Right.
Now there's also reasons why we do stuff, depth and recruiting certain bodies. But why not move big safeties to linebackers as opposed to move small DNs to linebacker?
Maury Carter.
There you go. You move a big safety to linebacker. He's already been a part of the coverage side of things.
Absolutely.
Now he's just closer to the line of scrimmage. He just has to learn how to get off blocks. But now you're taking someone who's been going forward majority of their career. You force him to go backward and call plays and read guards instead of tight ends and tackles. It's a whole different type of thing. And now we have to overcoach instead of just bring somebody down and say, be an athlete. So just little things that kind of irks my spirit.
And now Holsum one, with all these question marks we got, offensive line, cornerback play, linebacker play. Let's say you're on the coaching staff. Coach Manny Diaz goes to you. You get the last choice at scholarship. There's only one scholarship left that we can offer a grad transfer portal player to, or just a transfer portal in general. Who do you give that scholarship to? At what position?
Oof.
And you can always think about next year. You can be like, hey, you know what? Let's just throw this one under the rug. Let's work for next year's recruiting class coming in. I think you froze. You good now?
All right. Can you hear me
you're
now?
Good.
All right, cool.
Yeah, you're good now.
One player? Transfer portal.
There's only one scholarship. Right. Because there's only one left, and we can still use it. We haven't yet. And the plan is we've been contacting people left and right, but the latest is UCLA offensive lineman and offensive lineman from Akron. So
yeah, I saw that. Both of them. No. I mean, that's a tough one for me personally. I was just gonna get Tyreek Black. I mean, we got one last scholarship. If he does well, cool. If he doesn't, all right. I mean,
so you want to go at receiver for your last offer?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think this O-line is coming together.
Okay, yeah.
You don't want to bring somebody in, especially this late in. Now, if it was like Lashley from Alabama, but didn't he go to Georgia Tech?
Brett Lashley?
No,
Lashley. Scott Lashley. Yeah. I don't know where he went, but he bounced from Alabama. He was in the portal.
So, like, if we're that late in and we're scrapping for just guys, no, I'm not going to throw that off. Because remember, everyone had, what's that guy name penciled in as a starting left tackle? What's his name?
Tommy Kennedy? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that guy. Tommy Kennedy. And then you get to a point where you're throwing off the chemistry. They've been mixing stuff around. We finally got good depth at tackle, guard, and center. Some solid competition. Let them grow. Let them build some chemistry. We can add some seniority. I think bringing in a Tyreek Black would help as someone who's been through injuries, someone who had to work his behind off to help the maturity of the wide receiver room at this point. I mean, you go from KJ Osborne, who's a true leader. Now you bring in Tyreek Black, who, we don't know about him being a leader or not, but we do know that this young man has been through some stuff. He's an older guy. He's going to help bring some maturity and how to truly work and grind. Maybe he's just a sideline guy in a T-shirt with a boot on his foot that can't play. But to bring in that mindset and that knowledge and help guys train and work, and that's not how you won that route. This is like, don't round off your curls. Put a foot and plant it and come down. All of those type of things, I think, will work out very well if we were to bring in a Tyreek Black. That's just me. Now, I don't know everyone who's in the transfer portal, but that's one of those flashy names that came up before. And worst come to worst, he's a guy who's been through a lot of stuff that can help coach and teach the players. Best come to bless, he comes in and gets like 300 yards and plays a little bit. It's not an L. But if you bring in a lineman and you bring them for no reason and you throw out the chemistry that you've been trying to build with Rob Likens, not Rob. Rob Likens is the wide receiver coach. Who's the O-line coach?
Garen Justice.
Justice. There we go. Coach Justice. You throw out the chemistry that he had just throwing this new guy in and say, oh, we brought him in to come here and start. What? No, we're not going through that again. So that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, and absolutely. You don't want to just offer someone and then Tommy Kennedy only played a handful of snaps against Louisville. It was a complete waste of a scholarship. Holsum Martin. Yeah, he played a little bit against Louisville, like 2 snaps, just because we were up by like 40. So,
and that was senior day, right?
Yeah, or something like that. And Holsum Martin, who transfers after transferring from the transfer portal. You don't want to just offer someone a spot and then not use them at all. My opinion, I would love to get the wide receiver from North Texas at the University of Miami. I think it's Rico Busey, 1,100 receiving yards. I think he's already working in an up-tempo air raid offense. I mean, it'll be an easy transition. He seems like a playmaker, explosive receiver. Now, he doesn't come from the biggest school, North Texas. I don't even know what conference they're in.
Neither did KJ Osborne.
Right. Because at least KJ Osborne had an NFL quarterback with it. Sure. Tyree Jackson, he did get drafted, who actually was looking at Miami, but that's a different story. But
I'm glad that didn't happen.
That's a different story.
They probably made him a tight end, knowing that old staff. Jesus Christ.
If I had the choice, I would love to get a corner. I know the FAU corner was in the transfer portal, led the nation in interceptions. I would love to add another corner just because our depth is kind of slim. To Corey Couch, Christian Williams, they're young. They don't have as much playing time. They're very talented. By all means, they're going to be very successful. And Marcus Clark, you're pretty high on Marcus Clark. You think he's going to do really good.
My second favorite recruit behind Dominic Mammarelli. That's my guy.
I think, like you said, the talent is there. It's just not – they don't have a lot of experience. And I don't know how well they'll do in a big-time game. And
I'll say this much. The depth at corner is a lot better than it has been. But I do get your point, like, why not just add an experienced body who's from the state? He's from South Florida. He played at FAU. That would be a huge upgrade for him to have this stage.
Right.
But he can also turn into the other transfer corners that we've had.
D. Delaney.
Well, D ended up playing in the NFL.
Right. Yeah, he did. He did with the Jaguars. He's still –
I think he might be like a rotational safety still. He's playing in the league still.
Right.
I hate going blank, especially on live. What's
transfer
the other
corner
guy that came in for Trajan Bandy after he got kicked out the LSU game?
I'm blanking. I feel like it's the tip of my tongue.
He wore number 6.
Oh, Javonte Dean. He went to South Dade Senior because he was committed to Alabama from the JUCO ranks, and then they kind of went silent on him. Yeah, Javonte Dean. Oh man, wow. that was kind of like a mini Robert Knowles.
Everybody just goes, whoa. Pedro said that the corner from FAU is coming off of an ACL injury, so probably wouldn't be smart. And it's his last year, so
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good question because now you spend a lot of time at the house watching a crap ton of film. You know, who could you come in? Who could you give that opportunity? And I mean, I'm another plug for North Dakota State University, but you know, my boy Jabril Cox, you know, best linebacker in FCS, 9 times out of 10 going to LSU.
Yeah,
you can check the FCS level,
right?
For guys that you can, you know, an unsung hero.
Right, absolutely.
Someone who isn't like known like that.
And it's not like North Dakota State doesn't have NFL talent. I mean, Carson Wentz. There's someone else that went there that I can't think of.
Eastern Stick went there. Went here. Eastern Stick got drafted in the 5th round last year. QB. We also had like a couple offensive linemen starting.
Van Der Esch
right now.
Van Der Esch, linebacker for the Cowboys.
Van Der Esch went to Boise State.
Oh yeah, my fault.
No, it's okay. I mean, he couldn't play here, but it's all right. Cal Emanuel played here. Defense end for – he literally just lost his job in the NFL. He got drafted in the 4th round. He lost his job because Joey Bosa. So it was like, all right. Yeah. He had concussion issues and decided to retire shortly after it. But he lost his job to Joey Bosa, which you lose it to anybody that's a future Hall of Famer. But, you know, I think that this team has a way of coming back. Like every 4 years or so, Miami has this click, and it's really weird. Comes out of nowhere. You know, you look back 2009, 2013, 2017. Now we going into 2020, but I would love if we had one of those clicks for the 2021 season versus Alabama. Now that's kind of far, but that's what I would hope.
One thing Miami needs to do, and it hasn't done this, and I don't know, it's been 15 years. Like in 2017, you know, we had that great season. But then the next year, we're coming in preseason top 10, looking great, and we go 7-6. Build off of a 10-win season and keep building off of it so that way you build. That's how you create depth. That's how you create a winning culture.
But you need a coach that knows how to do that.
Yes, you do. And hopefully Manny Diaz learned in that year 1 with all his mistakes, and it can work. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like in the back of my head, I think of scenarios. I don't know if you do the same. Hey, what if Coach Manny Diaz goes 11-1 and pulls a Matt Rule and gets a head coaching job? Who will be the next head coach? You know, that is possible. Matt Rule went 1-11, 6-7, and then went 11-1. And then gets the New York Giants job, you know. So Oh, Panthers. You're right. You're Carolina Panthers. But what if Rhett Lashley takes the head coaching job? I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's the sad part for me. And you all know I'm a big Mario Cristobal guy.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
guy.
Absolutely.
Mario, that's the elite hire. That's who we need to call on speed dial. But, I mean, what if Rhett Lashley's offense does what Manny Diaz's defense did?
Right.
Where you go 26, 8, and 3, 26 ranked, 8th ranked, 3rd ranked. Could you imagine Miami with a 26th ranked offense in the country?
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we had that high. Even James Coley's offenses weren't that high. 8th ranked in the country? 3rd ranked in the country? Let's say Manny takes another job, and we can't get Mario. They're not going to bring back Butch. Why not hire Rhett Lashley?
And even with Larry Coker, Miami's offense wasn't the most explosive. It was really a defensive team that won a lot of games.
Correct.
Defensive side of the football. So it's never been a heavy, dominant offense like you see with Ohio State, like you see with Washington State, Oregon, that they just put up stupid points running up the score like Oklahoma.
Right.
So we've always been defensive-minded, but I would love to see an offensive powerhouse at Miami.
I mean, some people are like, you don't want to become the Oklahoma. Why not?
Yeah, hell, I would.
College football playoffs, 4 years straight or 3 of the 4?
It's consistency. And plus, they always get a transfer quarterback, and he wins the Heisman. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. They get Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's rebuild and reload. And Spencer Rattler is trying to get on the field, and he was the #1 quarterback in the nation 2 years ago. So I think Lincoln Riley.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When is Miami going to develop a system that is literally plug and play and we just go?
Plug and play, like rebuild, reload, like next quarterback in. Oh, I think Manny Diaz is trying to do that with De'Aaron King. And I think he's using the transfer portal, modeling it after Lincoln Riley as well. And he swung and missed with Tate Martell. So his vision was delayed a little bit with the Tate Martell swing and miss. And I think he's trying to get that with De'Aaron King. I think Van Dyke's in his back pocket. And he's going to go after another transfer portal quarterback next year if he doesn't think there is a quarterback in that room that's ready.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I don't think that I think he hates N'Kosi Perry, so it's nothing that N'Kosi Perry can do. I also think Peyton Matoka. Oh, my God. Have you ever seen that kid? 6'5", 220?
I know he's athletic from his high school tapes.
But he just looks like a prototype. Just a big, thick dude with a super, super long cannon. I mean, man, you watch some of those drills where they're throwing the ball, and he just looks like it's effortless.
Right.
TVD, like I said, I remember getting into an argument on my channel about the fact that I think it was going to take him a long time to get used to the athleticism in Miami, being from Connecticut.
Right.
And some people, of course, agree. Some people don't. But in the argument, they were like, what do you mean? Connecticut has athletes too. Connecticut doesn't have athletes like Florida or Miami and the players in which that we recruit. And what happens the first week of spring? He's behind on throws. He's overcompensating with throws because he's not used to the athleticism at wide receiver and corner at Miami.
And Holsum one, speaking of underclassmen, who is that one freshman 2 years from now is going to be the leader of this football team? You can have one offensively and defensively, but who's that next star to come to Miami? And I thought Bandy was going to be a star when, his freshman year, that pick 6 against Notre Dame. I thought that was just setting the tone for his future. Obviously, it didn't pan out that way. Shaq Quarterman as well had a great freshman year, McLeod. So who do you think is going to be that freshman star? I have my answer, but I want you to go first.
Michael Redding III.
Okay.
You talk about a guy and that's another thing. I think we need to start recruiting at those type of big-time programs where young men are used to working at his highest level and contributing at his highest level to be on that field. Michael Redding III, a guy who went to the Under Armour All-American game, was from IMG Academy, a football factory at IMG Academy. Hardworking leader, big dude. Those type of guys you got to bring in. Remember, I was never a height, weight, speed guy. You were. But eventually it's like,
Right.
yeah, 5'9". Well, we found out he was 5'7", but whatever. 5'9", works his behind off, grinds. He may have dog in him, but 6'3" going at half speed and there's a jump ball. Still gonna beat you, boss man. That's how it is. He has the height over you. He has the ability to make the play over you. That's just how it is. You look at Michael Redden III being one of those hard. I mean, when something's wrong with his wrist and he had wrist surgery, and to see that he's still out there running routes and motioning like he's catching the ball in a helmet when he was supposed to be out for the entire spring with a wrist injury, that's leadership. That's someone taking ownership of their 3 to 4 years here at Miami aren't going to be like the last 3 or 4 years. And he doesn't have to talk about it. He's going to be about it. He's going to let everybody else talk about it for him. I don't want to get interviewed. What do you want me to interview about? Oh, we want to talk to you about you running routes. I have nothing to say. I'm not in pads. That's Michael Redden III. I mean, of course, my boy Xavier Restrepo was going to be one of the leaders too. But if you talk about someone that's going to like circle up right now, I got something to say, Michael Redden III. Defensive side of the ball. How long ago you said? How many years from now? So it's from the 2020 class.
Yeah. Just, when they're a junior, it's their year. Kind of like Gregory Rousseau now. I mean, all eyes are on him this upcoming season. So
you're saying a leader on and off the field?
No, just who's your go-to guy?
Oh,
who's going to make that big play?
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying like a.
I get you.
Like an actual leader.
Okay.
Defensive side of the ball. I mean, you could go with either two of those linebackers, but I think it's going to take a long time for them to develop. So I'm going to say Marcus Clark. I think he's going to be one of the best corners on the team. But go-to guy, the dude, Isaiah Dunston.
Oh, wow. I forgot about him. That's because we have so many. He was a late signing, too.
Man, look here. He was basically going to go to Georgia, and they played around with him. So that's why he came to Miami.
Wasn't he a Florida State commit as well?
Correct. But he's from Georgia. He was waiting on a Georgia offer. He grew up a Georgia Bulldogs fan, waiting on a Georgia offer, and they were going after all these other corners, and they slow played him. Picked Miami, signed with Miami. So,
my guy on offense, and I remember when this happened in recruiting because this is when it hit me that Manny Diaz was turning the page. And I said to myself, this is the kind of battles we need to win to get better as a player.
I know where you're going.
Jalen Knighton.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go there.
Everybody thought he was a solid Florida State commit. But I'm telling you, when we got Rhett Lashley come in as OC, and he was already in the class, it was just the perfect fit. I mean, Jalen Knighton is going to kill it in this offense. I think he's going to be a star. I don't want to say what I had predicted coming when he's a junior, but I think he's going to take over. I really do. I think he's going to take over the college football world, man. I don't know. I've never been so high on a kid in so long.
Be careful. Be careful, dog. The pain behind them not living up to that height, it hurts. It hurts.
I've never really had a favorite player coming into Miami in a long time, but man, just something about Jalen Knighton, man. I really am pulling for him. And I think he's going to be very special. And I think you're going to see it year one. I really do. It's going to be I think he's just going to be a star, kind of like that Duke Johnson impact where against Kansas State, Boston College early on, we were like, whoa, this kid's going to be good.
You just put Duke Johnson and Rooster in the same sentence?
I think he's going to have a better career than Duke Johnson. And I think Miami's going to win football. What you can't be that. You got to see the potential in Jalen Knighton. Duke Johnson broke tons of records. He definitely broke tons of records. Okay, but I think Jalen Knighton has the same potential to replicate what Duke Johnson did at Miami. I really do. And I know he hasn't even played a snap at Miami, but that's how high I am on Jalen Knight.
Okay. Okay.
Now, if we're going to talk about a freshman that I'm curious how he fits in this offense, Don Chaney. I'm kind of worried about that.
Agreed.
I'm kind of worried.
Agreed.
I'm kind of worried about that. I think,
especially because he was more of the I formation downhill.
Yeah.
I pray for his health, though. I don't want him to have that Robert Burns type of stigma to where he's injured, beat up. I mean, you ever look at Robert Burns, like he has both shoulders wrapped up, like knee braces on. Like, he's not like big because he's muscular. He's big because he got on all these like slings and pads under his pads. I just really hope that Don Chaney Jr. is healthy to play.
Right.
You know, a little bit of a scare. Shoulders are something that like you never really get over. You kind of just play through them. You get like shoulder injuries, and people have to wear like shoulder slings for years.
Right.
You know, so I'm a little nervous about that, but I think that he doesn't fit this new system, the up-tempo spread raid that we're running. So I'm a little nervous about that too. I agree.
And my defensive player, Avonte Williams. I think he's going to be a star as well. I really do. I think he's going to be our best safety we've had in quite a while. I think we will have – I'm not trying to overhype people. I just think very highly of Avonte Williams. And I'm not trying to compare him to past players, but I think he's going to have a great career at Miami. And it's going to be one of those last-second flips that help out Miami in the long run. And that's when you're going to see the success of Miami getting those last-minute recruits like Avonte Williams and Jalen Knight.
I think that it's big that we're building quality depth.
Right, exactly.
And all of our defensive backs are going to be better because Ed Reed is going to be in their film room with them at any time. That's something I can agree that Avonte is going to be very, very successful at Miami. And one of the biggest things about it is he made his own dang decision.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
From what people say, the rumor about him and his cousin, who's a Gator now, so we don't bring him up, but them not even being that close, and that Avonte decided to make his own dang decision. It wasn't about what that other guy wanted. It's about what Avonte Williams wanted to do. And, you know, supposedly, like I say, I don't know if this is fact, but this is what people were saying on message boards or whatever, who are supposedly close to the situation, quote unquote insiders, just talking about the fact that, yeah, he decided to make his own decision and go to Miami. His family wasn't too happy about it, but they're going to support him and ride with him because they weren't happy about how his cousin was supposedly treated at Miami. I think that's a story we'll never know the truth about unless you know Coach Manny Diaz or know one of the players personally. We'll probably never know what really happened behind closed doors with the running back. You know, was he really not showing up the weight room? And were people not really talking to him because they knew that he was already transferring? I remember him screenshotting and posting and was saying that the running backs coach was recruiting against him. And the only reason why Knighton signed here is because they told him that he was leaving and he was quitting. So I don't know. You never know with those type of things. Hearsay is it's tough because, you know, someone could hear me saying this on your channel and say, well, Holsum once said that this happened. No. I'm explaining to you what was told to us, you know, word of mouth, things like that.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I really am happy about Avonte. I broke it on YouTube. Like literally he committed, and it's crazy because I was about to take a nap. And I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. I'll watch him throw the Miami hat down. He's like, yep, University of Miami. Put on the hat, threw up to you. And everybody was looking at him like, huh? Like, I know I was flabbergasted. I always thought he was joking. I was like, all right, the joke's up. Chill. Don't hurt our feelings like this. Because we had already dealt with Justin Flo.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and much respect to him. Oregon's better than Miami right now, so true. I could understand that.
True.
You don't take L's to La Tech, FIU, especially after his visit with Louisville when we started to boom and things were looking good.
Right.
Heck, I feel like if Miami finishes out 8-4, 8-5, we probably get him. But then we also still have Dan Enos.
Gotcha.
So it's another one of the conversations. But hey, I'm happy for it. I'm
Absolutely.
happy for Montel Williams, and I think he's going to do very well here in Miami.
Now let's switch over. Let's focus more on Holsum one. I know we've been talking a lot about the offseason. I want to get people a little bit excited. Now let's talk about the season real quick. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I have a theory. My opinion is that if Coach Manny Diaz doesn't reach a certain number of games, a lot of people are going to be calling for his head. But I still, because of the changes he made this offseason, he deserves more time because of his vision. Mm-hmm. Is Coach Manny Diaz on the hot seat coming into year 2? And if he is, what is that magic number for him to be on the hot seat? What does he have to kind of accomplish for him to get out of it? As well?
You want my personal opinion or you want the facts?
Facts or personal opinion, whichever one.
Facts, Manny Diaz is not on the hot seat, and he will literally have to burn the place down before they Manny Diaz. That's the facts. Boy, okay. Are you there? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. Manny Diaz is good. Board of trustees like him. President like him. Donors weren't too happy with them, but all of the offseason hires and recruiting, swinging 2 marquee recruits in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
He's good with them. He could probably go out and go 8-4, 8-5. Be perfectly fine. Right. Unless he turns around and gets like another 6-win season. Even then, I still think they give him a year 3. That's the facts. My personal opinion, he should have been canned. You don't go 6-7 at Miami, running your mouth like that, and still keep a job. Learn your lessons somewhere else. My personal opinion. Okay. I can't make nothing change from what it is. He's our head coach. I'm going to support him. I'm going to put my love behind him. But he's on the hot seat for me, especially because of what he did for year 1. I throw a little ice cube on him because he beat Tallahassee. You beat Tallahassee to me, I love you. Okay. So, but besides that, on a grand scale of things, he shows that him and the staff that he kept, pretty good recruiters. I mean, you go 6-7 and you get
top 10 class,
5 recruiting class.
Yeah, I think that's very good.
You go 6-7 and you bring in a top 10, or I would say last year would be a top 20 offensive coordinator hire. That's me. And I also look at the fact that a couple of the players that one of the things that's wishy-washy is that some players decide to leave him, some players decide to stay with him.
Right. Yeah.
So the NFL draft plays a role in that too. Some of our best players still would either undrafted or day 3 guys. While he was a DC, I mean, you had the number 3 defense in the country, and your 2 safety tandems are day 3 players.
Yeah, so something's up.
Rounder.
Yeah. What did Michael Jackson go 4th round or 5th round?
Michael Jackson was like a 6th round pick to the Cowboys.
And then Red Wine went 3rd round?
Red Wine went 4th round. They were all day 3 guys.
Okay.
And Red Wine went middle of the pack, 4th round.
Yeah, it's never
middle of the pack, 5th round.
When was the last time we had a 1st round pick on the defensive side of the football? Artie Burns? There.
Yeah, 2016 Artie.
Burns. That's a D'Onofrio product. In a sense.
And that's more just like his height, weight, speed thing. And the corners, corner class that year is pretty bad because I mean William Joseph from Houston's out the league already too, and Artie's on his 2nd team. So it's more the NFL draft is a little different. But I mean, Kendrick Norton, RJ McIntosh, one of the best 1-2 defensive tackle tandems in the last 15 years.
Right.
Both day 3 guys. It just Chad Thomas. Your highest player was Chad Thomas. who underwhelmed here and is underwhelming in the Browns right now. You get what I'm saying? So Coach Manny Diaz has a lot of growing to do. And hopefully he gets it together. I mean, it gets to a point where parents aren't going to trust their children to the University of Miami anymore if we don't put it together. You know, we keep convincing certain parents to let them come here, and your child can be the reason why we turn things around. And that child still goes day 3 undrafted. You know, we got to start pulling something together. Recruiting is about relationships, man. You can't keep burning bridges with players. These coaches and parents hand you a 4 or 5-star recruit, and you hand them back day 3 production or undrafted.
Right.
Not good.
And I think Coach Diaz, what he did this offseason, he definitely needs more time. I think he's done a valiant job in getting rid of Enos and bringing in probably the hottest offensive coordinator literally on the board that you can get. Having an outstanding recruiting coaching staff on the offensive side of the football. Mm-hmm. Coach Hickson, Fields. Look at Rob Likens' resume. I mean, it's pretty solid for a wide receivers coach. I think that's a huge upgrade compared to Coach Stubblefield.
Oh, yeah.
I think recruiting-wise, Garen Justice, I got to see it to believe it still. I think he's more of his resume isn't pretty. UNLV offensive coordinator. So we'll find out about Garen Justice. It might work. I would love to see Garen Justice headline, and Garen Justice is a national champion. I would love that. I would love that. I really would. But I got to see it to believe it. But the Rhett Lashley hire, man, I feel really good about this. I don't know what it is, but I think Rhett Lashley, man, is going to kill it. He killed at SMU. He took Auburn. He was a part of their national title run. He had some success with Coach Gus Malzahn. So I think Manny Diaz, I want to see his vision, but he only has so much time, and this is such an easy schedule. Even 9 wins, it's like, dude, come on. It's so easy. 3 losses to who? You shouldn't be losing to any of the opponents on the schedule. You literally should go undefeated if you take talent for talent.
A couple teams being ahead of us, though, Paul. I mean, I think North Carolina's ahead of us. I know you're not too high on UNC. I don't know why. You watch them in person tear us to shreds. And, yeah, they may not have done well outside of Miami, but we got to judge them on what they did to us. We got to judge Georgia Tech on what they did to us. We got to judge Virginia Tech on what they did to us, not what they did to other people.
But here's my theory on why I'm not high on North Carolina. Sam Howell, this was his first season in college football. Nobody knew who the hell Sam Howell was except for going out and recruiting him. He tore it up. Sophomore slumps are a thing. You saw it with Trevor Lawrence this past season. He wasn't the same Trevor Lawrence the past season. Okay, Tua Tagovailoa. Certain extent, he wasn't the same Tua Tagovailoa. Jalen Hurts, same extent. You know, a lot of people are going to see that whole season, all that film. You know, it's another season, you know, to evaluate the quarterback. Also, Miami, they were still a little bit hungover from Florida. It came out flat against Georgia Tech. It was such a season of turmoil. That Georgia Tech game, we literally did every single thing we could do to lose that football game.
Yeah.
We missed 5 field goals.
Rewatch. Oh my God.
I was there. I mean, it was awful. So, I mean, I think we beat ourselves as Miami Hurricanes fans. Even against Pittsburgh. We won the game, but we kind of beat ourselves to make it that close.
I mean, UVA, you could say the same thing. Much as I love the Coach Perry, that was one of the most atrocious offensive performances as a unit I've ever had to rewatch. It was bad.
Even Virginia Tech, we were down 28-0 first quarter.
I mean, I feel you. But my thing is, I've spent years always saying, like, North Carolina, Duke, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and we went 1-3 against those guys. I agree. Virginia Tech was up 28-0.
Yeah. Well, Jaron threw 3 picks in the first 3 drives.
People love that guy. So he's no longer a Cane, so I don't even nothing to say about him. But I look at it like we have nothing to talk about until we're able to beat our own conference players, division players.
Absolutely.
I don't care. We could have got blown out by Florida. How do you come out flat against UNC? We spotted them how many points before we started playing too.
Absolutely.
The biggest thing is the coaching discrepancy between the two. You know, Miami, for the entire time of being an ACC Coastal, we were just always used to being faster, stronger, bigger than most people.
Right.
And for years, they hated us and they just outcoached us, and that's why we only won it one time. The one time we bring in quality coaching mixed with talent, we go 10-3. A lot of people wouldn't even call Mark Richt a quality coach. I do. Can Manny Diaz do that this year? Maybe. I definitely always say, to me, I think we're going to Miami a game and lose a game we're not supposed to.
Right.
And there's always the 50-50 with Tallahassee because you never know which team shows up.
Right.
On either side.
Absolutely.
So 10-2 has always been like the thing I pencil in. But then you start watching the team and it's just like.
Is that your prediction going into this season, 10-2? What's your realistic prediction?
Bowl game included or just regular season?
Just regular season, and then predict your bowl game if you
8-4.
8-4, really?
Oh yeah.
8-4 with De'Ara King at quarterback.
I don't trust that guy.
You don't trust De'Ara King at quarterback? He has the same Heisman odds as Trevor Lawrence.
Tate Martell had Heisman odds. You would know that.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like.
No. Let's talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it.
But De'Ara King at Houston, I mean, those were video game numbers. I mean, those were ridiculous numbers.
I understand.
He had a good game against Oklahoma too.
I get it. I'm not demeaning our players. I don't trust that leader. I don't trust that head coach.
Right, the head coach and his coaching decision. I get that. Yeah.
He has the ability to ruin it all. And he's shown me that he can. Like Birmingham Kane said, we're 0-2 versus Duke. Duke. Come on.
And Duke has Chase Bryce coming in. I don't know how he's going to be, but
he's recruiting they behind off.
Yeah, they've been doing well. That's the scary thing. You got to stop the Mac Brown momentum right now. That's a team that
developer, no, but he can recruit his behind off.
But even against UNC, we only lost by a field goal, and we didn't finish at all. I mean, all the drives we shot ourselves in the foot. You know, we had a good offensive game. We just never finished drives, and defensively it was ugly. It was the DJ Ivy first game. I don't know. It's never mind. But we'll get into that.
Like, I mean, hey, at this point. I mean, I used to say 9-3, but I just feel like we're gonna Miami two or three games that we're not supposed to. We're gonna illegitimately create shootouts that shouldn't be shootouts. I'm not apologetic about it. I'm not sorry, but Manny Diaz has proven to me that he will piss us off at every chance we can.
Okay.
He will ruin a game that's given to you. Hopefully, Rick Lashley can change that. Blake Baker, I'm probably one of the only YouTubers that carve into that man with no problem. Because there's no way on God's green earth I watch film as a GA and see that this 3-down front crap doesn't work. And all teams do is run against us and break for 20 and get the first down. And you still keep calling it? Now, I could understand if we only had 3 quality D linemen. We had 4 to 5 to 6 quality D linemen. And you always went 3 down front, and you still blitzed 4 to 5 people every time anyway. What was the point of that? You know? So I just, unfortunately, I hate to sound like negative Holsum, but prove it to me. 8-4.
All right. 8-4. All right. I think it depends how the season plays out. Injuries are always a factor. Scheduling of games as well. Miami plays very flat on those random 3:30 p.m. games at Hard Rock Stadium, where we we come to play on those night games. I don't remember. We don't lose a lot of games at night at Hard Rock Stadium. We really don't. So if we play UNC during the day where it's a flat crowd, flat environment, I can see Miami lose that game. That's a loss right there. I can see Miami going into East Lansing against Michigan State and not playing well and losing that game. That is their homecoming game. It's probably going to be sold out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's probably their head was his name Mel Tucker, I believe. It's probably going to be his first big game at Michigan State. Everyone's going to be excited. I can see Miami drop that game to a very well-coached team. I can also see Miami splitting a game or losing both games to Virginia and Virginia Tech. 2 away games. So I definitely see one loss between Virginia and Virginia Tech, UNC and Michigan State, perhaps. So that's going to be 9-3. Wake Forest as well. A lot of teams come flat that first half, and it shoots. Yeah, we're going to beat Pittsburgh. We'll be fine against Pitt. They suck. They suck. They suck.
They sucked when they upset our undefeated season.
Yeah. But we weren't that good. We weren't that good that year. You know we weren't that good.
Wait, whoa.
You know we weren't that good. We weren't we were undefeated, but we were the worst undefeated team in college football.
Oh, do not start that.
We could have lost it. We should have lost to Georgia Tech. That was a miracle. Florida State was a one drive away from losing as well. Braxton Berrios didn't make that 20-yard game, break a tackle, like you said, that we needed in the past, or Daryl Langham drops that pass. Listen, that could have been 3 losses right there.
Ifs were whiffs, man. You know, that's how I look at it. It was proven those young men still had to go out there and make all the plays. And it's not just you. Like, I have people on my channel call it like a fluke season or fluke. No, those young men and those coaches had to go out there and win those dang games. It's not a fluke.
Right.
You know, Daryl Langham still had to turn around and twist his body and catch the ball while turning around and putting it over the pylon and keeping possession. And they almost tried to take it from him. You know, when there was a clear shot of him making it in the end zone and they didn't want to show that on national TV. You know, if you don't have all that momentum, then the Notre Dame game doesn't happen.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You asked all the people, oh, that was a fluke. No, we went out there and whooped they behind. And there was nothing that they could do about it.
Absolutely.
I arguably say any team could have came in there that night. I don't know what they put in the food, the pregame food. I don't know if they fed on bus salt. I don't know what it was. But we came out for blood from the very first play to the last play.
And also, too, a lot of teams, they're not used to Hard Rock Stadium being sold out. When they hear Miami, it's not a tough crowd. And then when they come and it's sold out, they're like, this is not what we expected.
Correct. I mean,
it does get loud.
Coach said that was like, we didn't expect that. Right. They come in and shoot, they better be glad it wasn't the blackout that Virginia Tech had to deal with the week before. They were, man, BT, they were not ready for that. When we came out with the blackout, because it was like 90% for that one.
Right.
But then we handled business and won that game. And then we came out in the old school black cleats, black socks, orange on white, classic. Oh, man. I still watch the game whenever I feel you know, because if you show me that and then turned around and said, next year you guys go 7-6. The year after that, you guys go 6-7. I would have gave you a Stone Cold Stunner. I would have thought like you the wrong type of vodka you're drinking.
Yeah.
Okay? You might want to switch to brown. Because it wouldn't have made any sense to me to see that team because we were on an upward trajectory. I mean, Al Golden, you go 8-5. Mark Richt comes in. We were in every one of those games, go 9-4, win our first bowl game.
Yeah. The
very next year, he's on a 10-win streak. And yeah, we lost to a crap team and then 2 really good teams in Wisconsin and Clemson. Oh, yeah. All right. Lick your wounds, come back out versus LSU, kick them in the mouth. Let's see what happens. Fell apart. And that's what I was saying is about bringing in a coach that knows how to do that. Mark Richt knows how to build. Mark Richt knew how to stack things on top of each other. He just got in his own way when it came to him calling his own plays, and it just kind of fell apart there.
All right, Holsum. Well, before we get into a quick Q&A, I want to ask you who do you have going into the college football playoffs, and who is your predicted national champion? I know we're so far away, but who do you think is leading the hunt right now to be the next contender, at least for the national title? You got an eye on
my playoffs. I think Clemson, of course. Bama. OU.
Okay, so it's pretty standard.
Ohio State.
Yeah, pretty standard.
I think Bama plays OU, and I think Clemson plays Ohio State in a rematch. Ohio State beats Clemson, and I think Bama beats OU. And I think Alabama, Ohio State national championship game. And a part of me really wanted to pick Ohio State, but I think Nick Saban's going to get his revenge on get him a W and get another national championship right off into the sunset.
Who's their quarterback coming in this season?
Oh, man. I mean, they got five stars to pick between. But supposedly it's going to either be Bryce Young or Talia Tagovailoa.
Oh, okay.
And he's the bigger brother of the two. I think he's like 6'3.5". Like, he's a big dude.
Did you hear about that rumor floating around? If the Dolphins draft Tua Tagovailoa, he would transfer to Miami.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Do you think that's just dumb to even think about, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't even worry my pretty little heart about that. I mean, right. For what? It's wishful thinking. I mean, it sounds cool, but
we're talking about it in a year from now. The next transfer portal grab.
We're on live talking about so.
That would be cool, same stadium, but it's a long ways from now.
They're super family oriented, so you never know.
Right.
You never know. But it's not something I would like really stress out about.
Yeah.
Because I think TVD is good if we let him not play until a redshirt sophomore-ish. I think Makocha, he's my unsung hero.
Okay.
Because of his cannon and his arm mixed with Rick Lashley.
Right.
And, with those like short routes, you could be slightly inaccurate. You don't have to be super like you want to be super accurate 8+ yards, because now you're talking about DBs and safeties, corners and safeties. But if you're a little slightly off, like you like to lead your players a little bit or slightly behind, you can do that over the middle because you're doing receivers against like linebackers or so.
Right.
So it works out slightly in your favor if you can be a little less accurate into the intermediate to short routes. But if you're like one of those people that, and I love N'Kosi Perry, one of his big issues is sometimes he may overthrow. He may like put way too much on a deep ball. You can piss off a fan base a lot more missing deep balls than missing like simple outs. Like, oh, that was a chance that we could have, and you overthrew the guy. That could really piss off a fan base. But I look at it like we got some pretty good QBs on there. I mean, heck, I remember, like I said, had a whole bunch of likes and retweets on Twitter when I said I'm not sold on De'Aaron King. We got good QBs on our roster already.
Right.
Rick Lashley's a good OC. Show me how good of an OC you are and coach these guys up. Because I was tired of the quick fix transfer portal crap.
Right.
You got a 5-star. Put him in the room and say, bro, go to wide receiver and stop playing. Okay, cool. You got the arm of N'Kosi Perry. You got the experience of De'Aaron King. It should be a battle between those two guys and let everybody else under them learn. TVD and Peyton Matocha shouldn't be a part of the conversation until 2022. Let these guys do 2020 and 2021, move forward after the 2021 season with either TVD or Matocha.
Okay. My college football playoffs, my top 4, I'm tired of the same 4 teams. So I like to see, different teams go in or just predict different teams. But I think Clemson's going to get in by default because of the ACC. I don't see anyone taking them down this season, quite frankly. I don't think Georgia is going to have a good season. Therefore, I think perhaps Alabama or Auburn will fill in that SEC spot. I think Auburn's a team to watch out for, or Alabama as well. Texas is a team I like. What they did with their whole offensive staff, I like the changes. It's I know what you're thinking. I know they had an awful season. Don't get me wrong, but Texas is one of those programs, they do have a lot of money, and then when they want to make change, they will make change. So just watch out for Texas. Go ahead, Holsum.
They're very similar to us, to where they don't follow up a good season.
Right. Okay.
But then they'll turn around and follow up a bad season with a good season. So you may be right.
Yeah.
I remember last year when they won the bowl game against Georgia, I think they were like an 8-4 squad. Like they weren't amazing.
They weren't even good. Yeah.
Did they even make a bowl this year?
I don't know. It was bad. It was like us. It was
that LSU L really hurt them though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Kind of like Miami. Same.
But I'll ask you after you finish your national championship or playoff. I have a question for you. So please continue.
And my last team in is Ohio State. And, it's funny. I saw Justin Fields' spring game last season. I was like, he doesn't look good. But, after all, that's why it is a spring game. I really think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy this season. I think he's the front runner. And I think Ohio State will win the national title this season. I hate saying it.
Go there, but I don't know if Ryan Day is better than Nick Saban. I know Urban was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Ryan Day is going to be prepared to play.
Did you know he was on Al Golden's coaching staff at Temple as like a quarterbacks coach? It was just for 1 year, but I thought that was cool. And Matt Rule was too. I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I mean, shoot, I still think Manny should have went there and like gritted his teeth and learned how to coach there.
Who do you think we would have hired if Manny went to Temple? If, Mark Richt retires and Manny's at Temple, who do you think? I don't think it would have been Cristobal. The money's too deep at Oregon.
Why does everyone keep – okay, listen. Money plays a part, right?
But they got money.
They got money. I get that. But not everybody works for Microsoft. Just because they got a whole bunch of money don't mean you just hop on with them. There's winning and there's money. You can be the richest coach in history, or you can go be a part of a place where you know how it feels as a national champion, because he was a national championship at Miami. He knows what it's like to come here and win. And I still think it would have been the best to get him over Rick, but yada, 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 because he was just leaving Alabama.
I mean, yeah.
And in that region, he was the best recruiter, and he had just come off of Recruiter of the Year. He had just come off of winning a natty. Like, it would have been perfect timing, but yada, yada, yada. I think it would have been Schiano. I don't know if they would have went with Cristobal. I think they would have went with Greg Schiano.
But remember, Schiano got rejected by Tennessee. He was going to be the head coach there. And then the Penn State scandal, they were like, no, this isn't happening.
But
so you think it would have been Schiano?
He had just came off of the national championship as a DC, or because he was at Ohio State recently.
Yeah, he was at Ohio State.
I think Schiano would have been the hire because Dan was already at Florida and had just won, because this would have been the 2019 season, right?
Yeah.
I think it would have been either Schiano. I think Butch was definitely never an option.
I don't think so.
I think it was between Mario, Schiano. I don't know. I think it would have been Schiano. I think Mario probably, like you said, maybe the buyout would have been too expensive and they would have had to settle for Schiano.
Right. All right. Well, what were you going to ask me, Holsum one?
What do you think, for you, if Miami, let's say we had 2 cupcake games? Actually, I got 2 questions. The first one is, who would be your home and home? 2 teams, fantasy teams, realistic teams, whatever. 2 teams you would like to add to our non-conference for a home and home for the 2022 and 2023 season. So after playing Alabama in 2021, who would be those 2 teams you would like to add home and home with?
Well, I'll tell you what, the first thing that came to my mind was Georgia. Let's be real. If recruiting wise, they're probably one of our biggest rivals in recruiting. Kirby Smart going after everybody in South Florida. He's been, I mean, every single recruit, I don't care if they're throwing whatever you want to call what Kirby Smart is doing at Georgia. Every single recruit has Georgia in their top 3. Every single one. Georgia's always in there. They have a name in South Florida and in the state
name nationally.
Yeah.
they just all over them. Well, that's because he puts money into recruiting, not on the coaches. He thinks if he just has the best player, they can eventually make the play.
Right. So I think a home and home with Georgia, just to settle it down with recruiting, honestly, just because I think it would make a statement. And then my second team, I want to go with a team we haven't played in a while. Man, I was gonna say Penn State because I can't stand them. I really don't like Penn State.
I don't like them either.
Yeah, I don't like them at all.
But I think that they would out scheme us, out technique us, and low key beat us.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to do like a for sure win, kind of. So
no, to me, that's kind of like my second question that I was gonna ask you. So I'm gonna answer it and say, to me, there's like fantasy teams like Texas and USC. I've always wanted to do a home and home. Like to see Miami play in Trojan Stadium and then have, or the Coliseum, and then have USC, especially a team that we can beat, that has history. You know, I don't think we've ever met in a game.
Maybe.
I know if the playoff system was around back in the day in the mid 2000s, we would have.
Right.
I mean, you know, you run into like a freshman Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart against the 03 Canes. I mean, that probably would have been kind of cool to see back in the day. But that would be my two would be USC and Nebraska.
Okay, Nebraska.
The reason why, because Nebraska's going to be highly coached. Home and home, it's like a pseudo rivalry. I would love to do it. And then USC would be kind of cool. And I think both of them are winnable games.
Okay, I would say Michigan is my number 2 team. You know, I don't remember us ever going to the Big House. I think it would be a cool experience just to go to the Big House and watch a game with Miami in it. I think that would be very cool. We would probably lose because let's be real, they don't lose a lot of games at the Big House for the most part, especially non-conference games. And Michigan, I don't think we play them ever. So that'd be cool.
Fun fact is we actually almost lost to Michigan before the Notre Dame game with Catholics versus Convicts.
Oh, okay.
We made a major comeback versus Michigan to win that game. I only know that because of the documentary.
Oh, okay.
I was nowhere near born, but I remember that the fact that Michigan was up by like 15 or 18, something like that on Miami. We had to storm all the way back and win them and beat them.
You know, I don't like those West Coast games because I think it always is a disadvantage because of time zones. I just going all the way to Miami to the West Coast, I just think mentally it's going to hurt our players and we're probably not going to play our best game. But that's just what I think. That's why I would never schedule West Coast games if I was an AD.
Even if it's like home and home, so like 1 year they're going to come here and 1 year we're going to go there.
We got to be really good. You know, we got to be like a top 5 team. I don't know. I'm not really into. I'm not into the West Coast games. I'm not into neutral site games either. Yeah,
that's all good. For me, people in the comment section saying Notre Dame, Oregon, Bama. My thing is, you need to be able to be in these winnable games. It needs to be winnable.
Yeah.
We put LSU on the schedule. It looked good. Our players had film against them. We got destroyed. It isn't about being soft or being weak, but if I'm an AD or a head coach, I don't know if we're there yet. And if we're good enough, we'll meet them in the playoffs. That's how I look at it.
Now, Holsum one, I got a question for you. And I know this is, I wouldn't mean negative thinking, or I just thought this was interesting. Now, since we opened up with Alabama 2021 and we don't do well in these first games, it's proven already. We don't do well. I don't care if it's about being tough, week 1, neutral site, let's go. It doesn't work out for Miami. It hasn't. Or in general, I don't think your team plays the best game usually.
Duke hung around with them.
What was the final score, though?
I think it was 41-20 or something like that. halftime score was 21-14 or something like. Duke was in that game for a while until the talent pulled away.
Right.
We were never that close with LSU. So that's what I'm saying.
Do you think that's Manny Diaz's? Do you think Alabama's so ahead of us that in 2021 it's going to be? Does Miami have a chance at all? You think? I don't. I just think we're so behind.
I think it's a bit far ahead. A year or two with Rick Lashley. Year
right,
one.
Right. True. Yeah.
Probably year one with the Knight and Chaney. Because, I mean, I think Cam Harris is gone. It would be huge for me if we're able to keep Gregory Rousseau. Because, I mean, one thing I would say is it's good that you're a bona fide first rounder. But I'm going to tell you this much. You know what it would be like if you went out there and proved your first round ability against Alabama?
Right.
You know, come back and give us a chance. Like, it's nowhere in the world Kendrick Norton should have left. I understand McIntosh. McIntosh had a great season, played his behind off against some of the best guards in the country. You know, against Notre Dame, against Wisconsin, he had some pretty good games. Against Clemson, against Pitt, he had some pretty good games. Kendrick Norton, we should have had Kendrick Norton next to Gerald Willis for the 2018 game against LSU. That's what we should have had.
Yeah.
You know, but then there's also the flip side of that. Am I going to trust my senior year and another year of film to a guy that's proven that every person that comes back does worse under him? Jaquan Johnson isn't a fifth-round draft pick if he leaves in 2017. It's probably an early third-rounder.
Right. Michael Jackson, maybe.
Michael Jackson had 4 interceptions in 2017. He's probably a pseudo early second rounder at 6'1".
Yeah.
Red Wine needed that senior year. But those other two.
Especially with that one-handed interception Jaquan Johnson had against
in every big game he played, he made a play.
Yeah. He should have left that year off that momentum.
I mean, shoot, you turn on the Jaquan Johnson versus Notre Dame and I mean, you had the pitch play where he comes 15 yards flying down and pops to running back. He had the tip ball interception. You know, I mean, he had the one-handed pick versus Virginia Tech, the forced fumble that was picked up and ran back for 50 yards by R.J. McIntosh versus Virginia Tech. He had great film. He comes back. He trusts the system. Messes him up. So, I get it.
I hear you. All right. I want to do a quick 5-10 minutes Q&A.
Sure.
It's a small group, but I actually like this live show a lot. I think it went well. What do you think, Holsum? I liked it a lot, man. There's not really a lot to talk about.
3 to 4 hours. So doing an hour 30 ain't no problem.
Absolutely.
I done did delivery for about how many months now? Just sitting here, just talking to the people. I do phone calls and add that in, and it gets pretty fun. Gets a little wild sometimes, but it's exciting. But yeah, my question before we do the Q&A. Do you like or do you think Miami should continue to do those big first game of the seasons?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely. We've seen
my question that I was going to ask you.
2016 when we went 9-4. I don't know if you remember that year a lot, but damn, those last 4 games, Miami was clicking. There was no team that could beat Miami. I promise you. It was like we even changed our offense. And we kind of used David Njoku as our go-to guy, which I don't know why it took so effing long for Mark Richt to figure that out. But, hey, we were on cruise control. Nobody could stop us. First games of the year, man, we don't do well, okay? Not a lot of teams do well. There's no point of scheduling a game where there's a chance you might lose, a neutral site game where Miami fans, we're a small private school. We're not like a big-ass following like Michigan or Notre Dame, where you will see a Notre Dame Michigan hat anywhere in the U.S.
Correct.
Even Florida State, those are big-ass schools. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and like Pedro just said, it is a confidence killer. Miami, when they lose one game, they tend to lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row.
Could you imagine the different outlook of Manny Diaz and Dan Enos if they had this schedule? Shit. They start out with Temple, Wagner, UAB.
Yeah.
Instead of Florida. You know, could you imagine Mark Richt
Yeah, because
Having
our
the schedule instead of starting 2018 with LSU, he starts with the regular team and then just roll all into. He starts with Bethune-Cookman.
and to be on, and not to interrupt you, but man, our best two offensive. I mean, I thought our offense looked good against Florida and North Carolina, and that's when it kind of. I think our players are just like over it, you know. You play Central Michigan, you play Bethune-Cookman, you're just like, what the fuck, you know?
I mean, Central Michigan was atrocious.
Yeah, that was bad.
Oh,
I thought they were going to beat us.
They should have. And this is the guy y'all want to have as the head coach at Miami.
Give it time, man. We'll see, man. I liked what he did this offseason. I really did. And
When is he
I'm
not
willing.
an off-season warrior, though?
Yeah, but I like this hire, man. I like Rhett Lashley. I think I'm more invested into Rhett Lashley and our recruiters that we have on our offensive side of the football. Coach Fields, Coach Hickson. I'm more invested. When those guys jump ship to another program, that's when the wheels fall down. That's my opinion.
But I slightly disagree because I think the reason why he hired all these other OCs is so that he could just promote from within.
You think
if Rhett Lashley leaves, he can just hire Rob Likens. They all come from the same tree. They all speak the same language, so that if and when they do hire from out of here, we can just promote somebody from within and keep it rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, that Likens hire. That was kind of random too. I don't think that makes
also, can you please stop calling it an air raid? It's a spread raid. Let me explain why.
Okay, go for it.
So
it's balanced. It is balanced.
Correct.
Right.
You caught him at a perfect time because the run-heavy spread is what he was built up on as a player and as a GA and as the OC of the Auburn Tigers early on in his career. Then he spent time at SMU with Sonny Dykes, who was pure air raid. So he has his base in running the ball out of the spread and out of the shotgun. And over the last 2 years has learned how to throw the ball more and mixed in his run heavy with the passing and put it together. So that's where I heard the term spread raid from. It isn't something that I created. I can't take credit for that. But the spread raid, because it's a balanced attack. It's similar to Ohio State. It's similar to Clemson.
Right.
These guys are from the spread, but they love to pass the ball also. You know, now air raid would have been LSU. They just sat back and threw the ball 50 times. That's air raid. You know, spread is Clemson, to where they run some, they pass some, but they're more pass. Spread raid would be Ohio State. They're going to have a 1,200-yard rushing back. They're going to have a 4,000-yard QB, and they're going to have a couple 1,000-yard receivers. It's going to be pure balanced across.
And that's what Miami wants, to win football games.
Correct.
And we have that. We have the talent for that.
And that's why I say a spread raid. I just hope a player for me that I'm a little nervous about their fit into this, besides Don Chaney Jr., is going to be Cam Harris. I think Cam was such a downhill bulldozer. Now he's going to have to be more of that like finesse, shake, scat back.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He can do it, but he's just so used to being a stocky 5'9", 212-pound dude that's just going to put you on your face. You know, just run you over.
Right.
So we'll see. But he's one of the best pass blocking running backs. And like you said, I think Knighton is going to have an early effect.
Oh, yeah.
Especially he's going to be a third down scat back. I mean, he's going to play some slot. I mean, I don't even know if you remember Rhett Lashley talking about it, but he's even had some wide receivers at running back.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you have at running back?
So there was an interview where he was talking about he motioned like Mike Harley next to as a split back. And Mike Harley was at running back, and it was like a wide receiver screen, but he came and he, stopped in a running back stance and did a screen.
Shit.
Yeah, like it was really cool. And it messed the whole, because everybody's like trying to like, oh, no, check this, check that. And then it was just a simple swing route. But it it just threw everybody off.
That's another thing too. A lot of these ACC defensive coordinators, they can watch SMU's film, but Miami's got a lot faster athletes than SMU does. So it's going to be a little challenge there as well.
And it forces you not to get excited, or it forces you to get excited.
Right? Yeah.
You're trying to force yourself not to get excited is what I'm talking about.
Holsum, one quick question: what's the magic number offensively for Miami to be successful and have 10 wins this season? Points per game.
Give me 31.
31 and 31 points and Miami wins 10 games.
Shoot, 31. Miami might go undefeated.
Okay, do you think 31 Miami goes undefeated?
Oh yeah, like offensive points, like just 4 total touchdowns and a field goal, and of course you're gonna have your over that and you're gonna have your under that.
Okay, 31.
You average a touchdown a quarter with 1 made field goal. That's 10 to 12 wins, right?
Okay.
Because the defense is going to get used to playing. I think that's another thing that caught us off guard in North Carolina. I mean, we went from a balanced approach playing in Florida to an up-tempo spread, and it kind of caught everybody off guard. And once we settled in, we tried to get back in the game, but it was a little too late, And when I went back and rewatched a lot of things, the only difference between UNC, Georgia Tech, and Louisville is the offensive execution. By that time, we knew we were going to play a spread team. So we knew we had to be spread and we had to be successful because they're going to rack up yards and points. And if we don't, then Louisville will blow us out.
Right.
You watch, to me, our most complete game was Louisville because of how we showed up in that game. Like, we're going to score points every time we touch the ball. You want to look back at our guys like Mike Harley breaking tackles. Didn't think that was going to happen. But go ahead with the Q&A.
All right, let's run a quick Q&A. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comment section real quick. We'll discuss it. We're only going to do this for like 5 or 10 minutes, guys. So feel free to put in your questions real quick, guys. If not, if no one has questions, hey, we'll just head off and we'll call it a night because I know I just got to work, but I'm good to go.
Grayson Flowers asks, how many times in the last 3 years would 30 points have won us the game?
Shit, I think last year we would have went 11-1.
Yeah. The only
points.
thing we would have lost was the UNC game when they scored over 30. I mean, shoot. At one point, like Rick's last year, even if we had 21 offensive points, we win 10 games. Because to me, that doesn't include a punt return touchdown here, or a pick six here, or a scoop and score there. No, this is our offense snapping the football, putting it in the end zone, running to the sideline.
Gotcha.
Mr. HD says, who is your favorite 2021 recruit that Miami should get? So someone that is uncommitted.
I just saw Jacoby Brooks.
Agreed.
Yeah, he's going to be good, man. He's going to be really good. I think
I really hope he would have held on to Savion, but Florida.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Florida's leaning well. And like I said, defensive line production.
I want to see a quarterback as well, man. I want to land a nice quarterback, perhaps a South Florida kid. Kind of the under-the-radar dual-threat quarterback. That's where I want to land. But we'll see. Kind of get that diamond in the rough. That no one, 3-star recruit, kind of like Lamar Jackson went to Louisville. No one really – he was a good athlete coming out of high school. Great athlete, but nobody wanted to offer him that quarterback. They thought he could play other positions. Like Miami wanted him at safety. So that's kind of what I want. A project, but we'll see. All right. Is Speed being more focused on recruiting from here on out on the offensive side of the football? Pull someone, go for it.
Yes. I think we're also, and that's a big thing with bringing Rick Lashley in, is he's kind of breaking that stigma of the height, weight, speed crap that Manny had going on before. But we've also made some really great shout out to Uncle Pedro with his inside information. We've hired a lot of guys who don't do the height, weight, speed checkoff crap. They watch huddle. They watch film. They scour like Twitter. They scour Google. Like they look up people to make sure that they actually are Miami caliber football players, not Miami caliber star system, not Miami caliber rivals camp, not Miami caliber Under Armour All-American 5-star camp, none of that crap. They watch film. Coach Pata, Coach Cooney, Coach DVD, Coach Stephen Fields, these guys turn on film for hours upon hours of the day. They're in charge of the recruitment. Coach Pata does the O-line, D-line. Coach Cooney and Coach DVD do wide receivers and corners and safeties. And Stephen Fields does tight ends, QBs, running backs. How it works. And they all work together and say, what do you like about that guy? What do you like about this guy? Hey, watch this guy's film for me. I think he does this well, but if we bring him into this system, we could teach him that, and he'll add something different to the conference that they've never seen before at his size and at his speed. All of those type of things. So I'm pretty excited about recruiting, and things have gone pretty well. Things have gone pretty well. So I think speed is playing a part, but it's not just 40 times. It's not track speed times. It's football speed. Does this guy like Marcus Clark? Yeah, he doesn't pass the height, weight, speed. He probably doesn't even pass the eye test. You turn on that film, and this kid's making plays all over the freaking field. Punt return, kick return, safety, corner, QB, running back, wide receiver. I mean, anything you needed him to do, he was making plays. You fill the team up with playmakers.
Holsum, are you going to any games this upcoming season or planning on going to any games?
Probably not.
I'm probably going to go to Virginia Tech. That's my goal. Temple. And I don't know. Maybe those three I have my eyes on. But we'll see what happens. Maybe Michigan State. I don't want to just show up by myself, but if I have to, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, I look at it like it would be cool. Remember, I made sure I took the opportunity to swing by and go to the Florida game, and we had training camp the very next day at NDSU. So that was wild. Like, flew in on a Friday to Miami, drove up to Orlando that Saturday morning, went to the game, and hopped on the very first thing smoking out of Orlando up to Fargo Sunday morning.
Right, and you're a busy man. I mean, you got a lot going on, work-wise, school-wise. So, I mean, it doesn't stop for you. I mean, it's just one thing after another.
It only gets better from here.
Right, exactly.
That's the exciting part. So.
All right. If we beat Alabama in 2021 to open the season, what's our record for that year? That's too far thinking for me, but I think that would be a good sign for the Manny Diaz era that we're moving
to improve
the right
otherwise.
direction.
Miami and our history over the last decade and a half, we're always going to crap one game. So I always throw 1 or 2 losses to my original record. Like I said, my original record was 9-3. But when I sit and think about our history, I add 1 or 2 more L's to that because we end up always crapping ourselves somewhere.
All right, let's do one more question, and we'll call it a wrap.
Okay.
Let's do I want to be a good question. So if anyone has a good question to ask or,
Calvin Dixon says, how was Miami able to get the recruiting class they got after that record?
That's our recruiting, our coaches, our coaching staff. Look at what Stephen Fields is doing on the side. Coach Cooney as well. They're developing these relationships with recruits even when they're committed at schools. When they decommit, they have such a strong relationship, they pull them to Miami.
Agreed.
Coach Fields, Coach Hicksons, man, Coach Cooney, those are damn good recruiters.
Might turn around and be one of those like historic recruiters. I mean, he's done one heck of a job since his very day in here. Holding off Georgia for Don Chaney, snagging Knighton from Tallahassee. He's done a pretty good job, man. And then the production of the running backs has been pretty solid. Let me ask you this question so we can end it out on this way. I need an offensive and I need a defensive. Which units, not player, not coach, units, would you say have to play at a good to great level in order to achieve 10 plus wins next year for the University of Miami?
Quarterback play. That's it. Quarterback play. We haven't had a good quarterback at Miami to put up like stupid numbers, like video game numbers. I can't tell you when was the last time we had that. Brad Kaya had his moments, but he was a sitting duck. But this is. I really hope the Eric King hype is real. I really do. I remember Ja'Cory Harris had his very early on Heisman contender, Heisman votes. But I want to see a player that, at Miami that has that Heisman hype throughout the whole season. I think Eric King, man, if he can just translate that, what he had at Houston, translate that to Miami, I think it can be a special season. And I'm pulling for him. He's had a rough offseason. His father passed away. He had to sit out after the first 4 games. He was injured throughout his whole Houston career during that junior year. Changing of head coaches, it's been a rough ride.
Right.
So I hope his last year of college football pays off and he does well, I really do. I'm pulling for him. So D'Eriq King, man, if he does good, he does great. That will translate to Miami's success, hands down.
What about on the defensive side?
It's got to be cornerbacks, man. I mean, we're going to get eaten alive. Trevor Lawrence will eat us alive, pick us apart. Sam Howell picked us apart. He can do that again. We are very slim. I am very scared with our defensive backs. I am very scared. I do not trust any of them one bit. I really don't, man.
I'm trying to be serious.
I don't trust them.
I do not trust them, man.
I really don't. I think the talent is there. It's just it's very inexperienced, and DJ Ivy. I remember he had 2 picks in the game and people got excited, but it was like, they were literally, it was pitch and catch with the quarterback. Like, it wasn't like Artie Burns had to work for those 7 picks his junior year. Like, this was like right there, man. Like, it's kind of like a Shaq Quarterman drop pass pick,
Still had to do it though, Paul.
We'll see.
He had a nice little stint from Pittsburgh through Tallahassee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some pretty good football. Yeah. But I still remember him getting taken up top, Georgia Tech, twice.
Special teams too.
But then he also got like cold hard bombed. Like, I don't know if I had to rewatch a lot of the stuff for film wise, and man, but at the same time, growth. They're young.
Absolutely. I hope the game slows down for them.
Years old, they should not be starting at a Division I institution.
Right.
Super young, lack of depth. You
got to teach yourself too. If you're the leader of the group as an underclassman, Shaq Quarterman didn't have someone teaching him things. He didn't have a Denzel Perryman under his wing. Michael Pickney, they didn't have leaders. Jermaine Grace wasn't there.
Well, they had Mike Smith who taught them. He didn't like do it on the field wise, but he taught them film
right,
how to do things.
But they never had an NFL, they had that John Beeson, but someone at practice who was going to be that first round, second round NFL player, be like, hey man, this is how we do things,
I agree. So, but I think that's a little touchy though, because cornerback and middle linebacker are 2 different things. And you start talking about a leader at corner and a leader at middle linebacker, one has to happen, one can happen. Your leader on defense must be your middle linebacker.
Right.
If not, then it could be a free safety or so. But a leader at corner, we had 4 scholarship corners, Paul. 4. 2 of them were really nickels with Bandy and Couch.
Yeah.
They had no They can't take a breather. They can't get no rotation. You know, like I understand it may sound like I'm making excuses for them, but I think those are just facts. Like those
Even this
guys are in
year.
such a horrible position. I just felt bad for them because it wasn't their fault that we didn't recruit. It wasn't their fault that we didn't go into the transfer portal. It wasn't their fault that we let Bethel walk and go to Colorado, and we only had 4 scholarship corners. That's unfair.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he left late. He left like a couple weeks before the Florida game.
I mean, you tell him to seek shelter elsewhere? Really?
Yeah,
You know,
people were high on him. They were high on him.
I don't think that was cool. That's me. I don't think that was cool how they did him. But wish the young man the absolute best of luck. But I don't think that was cool how they did him. For me, offensively, I'm gonna say wide receivers.
Okay.
Because De'Aaron King could ball his behind off, put the ball in the right position, and
they could drop it.
People out here dropping the ball.
Yep.
Well, these people out here not studying the playbook and knowing where they're supposed to be, and he throws a bonehead interception that wasn't on him.
Right.
There's a lot of things that could happen, and that's why I think offensively, if we want to win 10+ wins, I need that good to great out of those wide receivers.
Right.
I need 700+ from Pope. I need 700+ from Wiggins. I need 500+ from Harley. I need 200 or 300 apiece from Redding and Xavier Restrepo. I need Jeremiah Payton to have that dynamic wide receiver. I mean, he could be our 1,000-yard receiver. That's what I want to see, is the wide receivers take off and take over a game on some Travis Benjamin, on some Philip Dorsett, on some Amar Richards type crap, on some Leonard Hankerson type crap, where just give him the ball, coach, because he's going bananas today. Give him the ball, let him eat up. Defense side of the ball is very simple, and it's very home for me, defensive line. You know what made the safeties in 2017 good? Was the interior pressure from Kendrick Norton and R.J. McIntosh. That helped the exterior pressure of Trent Harris and Chad Thomas and Joe Jackson and Demetrius Jackson, was the fact that McIntosh was literally creating pressure every single snap to where the QB was like, yo, there's a dude in my face. Whether the guard's getting blown up or whether he just swam over the guard and now his hands are in the way and I don't know where to go with the ball. So defensive line is going to be huge. You know, who's going to show up on the other side of Gregory Rousseau? Who's going to show up between Ford, Miller, and Nasty Nesta? Who's going to show up between those 3 guys with the interior pressure? You know, is Roche going to live up to the offseason hype of him at Temple? Is Jalen Phillips going to live up to the offseason hype of being the number 1 recruit for 2017? Can Gregory Rousseau follow up 15.5 sacks with 10? That's going to be the key. What are we going to do getting to the QB? Because if we rush the passer like crazy,
right,
then they're going to throw the ball up, and DJ Ivey messes around and gets 5 interceptions and heads to the NFL.
Right, you could.
Al Blaze Jr. gets him 2 or 3. Light Skin Warner get him 2 or 3. Gervin Hall gets him 2 or 3 because the QB is getting blasted and he got to chuck the ball over his shoulder because he's getting popped. I mean, you go back and watch the Jaquan Johnson pick 6 versus UVA. You know what led to him, the QB, not being able to put what he needed on the ball? Kendrick Norton blowing the guard up and smacking him as he was trying to throw the ball. And it led to a pick 6 to Jaquan Johnson. So as much as the exterior of football has become, you know, the wide receivers and the corners and the tight ends and all that flashy stuff, if you can disrupt the game from the inside out, you still got a chance to win in today's football. That's how it is.
All right, Holsum one. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on the show, man. It truly is an honor. It always is to have the highest IQ, most educated person in the game of football come on my show. So thank you so much, Holsum one. And thank you to everyone that joined us. And if you did not join the live show, we're going to have it up and recorded, ready to go on our YouTube channel. Hope everyone has many blessings moving forward. Please stay safe. We're all in this together, guys. So
absolutely, man. We appreciate the hashtag Live Squad. Y'all know how I am. I'm big with hashtag Live Squad all 30, 40 people that were here with us. We truly appreciate it. I know it's a time where you're with your family and you may not be worried about Miami Hurricanes football. So just to have the amount of people we had show up, that's a blessing. But you all know my favorite hashtag. Hashtag rewatch squad. You all are just as important too, man. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, Paul, for having me on the channel, being able to showcase my talent on a different platform. For you all who don't know who I am, I'm the Holsum Holloway, Holsum, the number one. Go ahead and check me out. I got some breakdowns, some film breakdowns for everybody while you're sitting at home. I just released my Brevin Jordan film breakdown of his highlight tape, so you guys go ahead and check that out. And another one that was really big for me was my Gregory Rousseau. That's a 30-minute one. As someone who's a DA, defensive line coach at North Dakota State University, D-line is my thing. So I went ham on Gregory Rousseau and spoke about the difference between good, great, and elite play. You know, at Miami, we've had some good players. We got to sprinkle a couple great players. We haven't really had too many elite players to where they dominate game in and game out no matter who and which they're playing. So go ahead and check that out and be on the lookout. Tomorrow, I'll be live on my channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So go ahead and check that out. I'll be doing a live Q&A and a call-in show. Yet again, thank you, Paul. God bless. Have a great night.
All right, guys. Take care.